There it is. Okay.
Thanks, Slackbot. Here we go.
Got it.
Oh no, I'm disappearing.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-core villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another stabby episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 354, recorded on Sunday, January 16th, 2022. Tonight, we're talking about Scream, which is a brand new movie, not to be confused with the 1996 version. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy, Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up, man?
Hey there, boys. How's it going?
Thank you for that. That's one of the best bumps we've ever had.
Dude, Randy, on point with that bump.
I love it. The Dewey theme. It's like the slow, serious Western. I fucking love that shit, man.
It reminds me of Twin
It's
Peaks.
very Western.
Twin Peaks,
Doesn't-
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of that.
But it's
like,
way
I
more
like
spaghetti Western. To
Yeah.
me. I was listening to the whole soundtrack. I'm like, man, it sounds like even those little jingle bell things they got going are definitely like spur, like a
Yeah.
evocative like
Yeah.
spurs and shit.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Last but not least, calling in from Jacksonville, Florida, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up, bitch, your boy? Stab stains. Wha-cha.
Oh,
Wow. One of the more creative choices I see this week.
Dude, we've covered too many Scream movies at this point.
I know. Justin and I were talking earlier. We always do our freeze frame before Rob jumped on. We were like, I don't know what to do. I just got a knife. I was like, yeah, me too. I got to figure something else out to be more interesting. I don't know how to do this anymore.
I've got this knife.
Big John.
I'll be your Big John.
Yeah, we did have a real Big John, Little John moment, didn't we?
We did indeed. This movie references Halloween 2018, man, amongst others, but we'll get into that momentarily.
Okay,
It-
you're gonna have to tell me about it.
Yeah, before we get into the review, let's tackle some housekeeping real quick. Here's another reminder. We got our February poll pick currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this February. The theme for February is My Blood-Sucking Valentine. And the three movies to vote between are A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, Nosferatu the Vampire, and Shadow of the Vampire.
Hey, Bob.
Yo.
How the numbers looking? We're halfway through January. Jesus Christ.
I know. What is time?
It's almost
Other than-
Halloween season.
Why is it that I keep ending most of my sentences that way now? Something in the water, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, it's still winning. Shadow of the Vampire is picking up a little bit of steam. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to watch Nosferatu the Vampire,
All right.
which you should.
It's
Everybody
too
should.
artsy.
Not a lot of Herzog
fartsy, Bob.
fans.
Yeah, it's artsy and fartsy, but damn, it's worth your time. All these movies are.
Yeah, me and Randy started watching that one around Thanksgiving, and we kind of dipped out because it was heavy.
It was heavy and we were fucking worn the hell out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it looked great. I really want to get back to it, but I have not yet.
It's worth it. Definitely check all of these movies out, no matter which one wins. Get your votes in before the end of January, and we'll see what movie we're talking about this February. In other Patreon news, we got a brand new mini cast dropping this Friday. If you hit us up on the Patreon website at the $10 level or above, you get access to a whole host of Patreon exclusive shows. I think we're pushing like 60 shows on there now. Most recently on this Friday, we got one dropping where Juice and I are talking about Lamb, an A24
Lamb. Yeah.
Lamb.
A24. Yeah, that was one that we did not get to cover last year. We cover a lot of A24s generally, though. Covered Saint Maud, but didn't get to Lamb. But yeah, that's definitely worth checking out. I know a lot of people were talking about Lamb on the Slack late last year, when we were coming up on the end of the year. And I think a lot of people will be interested in kind of hearing that discussion because it seemed pretty mixed about what people were thinking about that. And I think even our discussion is a bit mixed. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Yeah, check that out. It'll be dropping this Friday on Patreon. Also, damn, we got all kinds of new shit dropping. We got a brand new episode of Let's Get Physical Media dropping this Tuesday. Mikey and I talk about our December pickups, and we also get into our top 10 of 2021, top 10 Blu-ray/4K releases of 2021. If you have any interest in collecting boutique Blu-rays, 4Ks, or even like limited edition DVDs, shit that's kind of like rare or out of print, Mikey and I talk about all that stuff over on Let's Get Physical Media. You can get that podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Check that out. That episode's dropping this Tuesday. We also have some new YouTube stuff going on. What's happening, Juice?
Yep, as we announced last week, but it wasn't available yet. We have a brand new segment we never done before to drop for this year. It is named after your home tiki bar, Bob, called the Haunted Hideaway, and it's got a death curse. It might have a death curse.
It does.
But it was for specifically the movie we are covering today, the new Scream movie, and you did a custom never before existed tiki drink that you showed us how to make called Screamin' and Creamin'. It was delicious.
Wow, an original title.
Wow. But it was delicious. And it's up on our YouTube now, youtube.com/straight chilling podcast. You're gonna need to stock your bar with a little what is it, falernum, Bob?
Everything. You're gonna have to stock your bar, period, is what I heard when I saw that thing. Ooh, it looks delicious though, man. If your previous cocktails are any indication, I'm sure it was delicious. It looks good.
Yeah. Thanks, Juice. I mean, you put it inside of your mouth hole and you seem to enjoy it pretty good. I'm glad you did. Yeah, check it out on YouTube. If you do happen to make one at your house, let me know if you like it. Let me know if it sucks. I don't know. We like feedback. Yeah,
send us your dirty cocktail pics.
You can make it better than Bob.
Make it better, please.
Don't use the Pusser's rum. Switch.
You gotta use it. You gotta use the Pussers.
Bob says you have to. Okay.
Non-negotiable.
The Iron Fist is coming out for Pussers.
Also, the Lemon Heart 151. If you got it, you gotta use it.
Honestly, knowing you for this long, Bob, I could not believe, and I guess it's just from frequency of use at this point, that you could say the word "pussers" on camera without giggling. You did really well. I gotta congratulate you on that.
Thanks, man. It took a lot of practice. There's so many outtakes. Yeah. It's insane.
Good to see you practicing in front of a mirror saying
we shot that scene 30 times.
The Pussers rum.
That's yeah.
There you go. Check that out. I think that's all we got going on. Anything else I forget? Anything you guys want to mention?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Cool. All right. I think our house is clean.
His house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about Scream 2020 Deuce, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Scream. This has a runtime of 1 hour and 54 minutes. This was directed by Matt Bettinelli, and Tyler Gillette. This was created by the Radio Silence group. So they're I think it's 3 people. They're writer, director, trio of like creatives. They've done work with they worked on, I think Southbound was something they were on. Also more recently, Ready or Not is sort of like their big kind of breakout movie.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, this was written by James Vanderbilt, Guy Busick, and also Kevin Williams, who wrote the majority of the previous Scream films. Stars Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, and a whole bunch of brand new people we're going to be talking about here shortly. The plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. 25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new ghost face emerges, and Sidney Prescott must return to uncover the truth. Gentlemen, this is a brand new movie, first time watch for all of us. Would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, like, to me, the biggest hindrance to watching this, because I did want to, was having to go to theaters and face down the Rona a little bit. But fortunately, that wasn't so. It was not crowded. It was a brand new Alamo Drafthouse Theater, which was my first experience there, and it was fabulous for that thing.
That's awesome.
A little overpriced for my taste, but otherwise, like, a great time, and I felt comfortable. But speaking to the movie specifically, yeah, I definitely would recommend it. I think any existing fans of Scream are going to have a good time with it for the most part. And I think that, I don't know, like, we're pretty hard up these days for half decent slashers. So I think this one is an easy win for that category.
Nice. Juice, what about you?
I would say, yeah, check this out. I think this is a slam dunk for like January horror films. You don't get a whole lot of good one of those. So that's nice. And I think, yeah, if you're a Scream fan, I think you will enjoy this. I mean, I guess you could go in, I don't know how well it would stand on its own for someone who's not familiar with the franchise.
I don't think it would.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult. I mean, I think it would still be entertaining in its own right, but it would probably be like kind of confusing, I guess.
You would get by.
Yeah,
you would not receive the full dose that's for sure.
Yeah, but definitely for Scream fans, like, for sure on that one. Bob, what do you think?
Yeah, I would recommend checking this out. This is a very solid Scream sequel. If like you guys were saying, if you haven't ever seen a Scream movie before, I don't know that this is really a movie made for you. As the movie makes very clear, this is a movie made for Wes Craven, in honor of Wes Craven and his memory, and it's also very much a movie made for the fans of the Scream movies. So,
I would argue actually that this is made like most Scream movies in general are made also for horror fans in general.
Yeah.
So like, it continues that to whatever effect we'll get to, but I think that it's fair to say that if you aren't a Scream fan, but you are a horror fan, you might find some interesting shit in this movie anyway.
And maybe even at like a younger generation. And that's why I was kind of hesitant about like, if you've never seen Scream before, but I feel like especially the last two have really, in a way, spoken to a certain generation of the now.
Well, I think they weren't rushed out immediately using the same tropes as fodder to build meta commentary out of. They have like 10, 20 years of extra material to build meta commentary out of in the horror genre, and they do. So
that sounds like a pretty solid recommend from the Straight Chilling crew. So check out Scream.
Isn't it, my friend?
It is a delight. Check out Scream. We are going to spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Alrighty then. Let's talk Scream. I got the plot synopsis typed up here, gentlemen. If you will indulge me, I'll blast through it real quick.
Hit me with that plot synopsis.
Blast it.
I'm blasting you. All right, 25 years after the original Woodsboro massacre, Tara Carpenter receives a mysterious phone call from someone wanting to play a game. The psycho later shows up dressed as Ghostface and stabs her several times. Tara survives and is recovering in a hospital. Tara's high school friend, Wes Hicks, calls Tara's older sister, Sam, and tells her what's happened. Sam and her boyfriend, Richie, head towards Burrow immediately. While at the hospital, we see Sam have hallucinations of Billy Loomis, one of the killers from the original Scream movie. Sam then tells Tara that Billy Loomis is her real father, and that's the reason their dad left when they were young. Sam and Richie visit a now divorced Dewey Riley and ask for his help in figuring out who the murderer is. He declines, but after contacting Sydney and Gail, he changes his mind. Dewey, Sam, and Richie visit the home of high school twins Chad and Mindy. They discuss the roles of a, quote, requel. It turns out Randy from the original movie is Chad and Mindy's uncle. And we also find out that Vince, which is Ghostface's first murder in this movie, is Stu's nephew. Sam is then accused of being the killer, and she storms off. Ghostface then murders Sheriff Judy and her son Wes. Gail Weathers returns to Woodsboro to cover the story. Sam and Dewey head towards the hospital because they believe Tara isn't in trouble. They save her, but in the process of doing so, Dewey is killed. Sydney returns to Woodsboro after finding out Dewey has died. She and Gail ask to help Sam, but she declines, saying they are leaving town. Sam, Richie, and Tara haul ass, but Tara can't find her inhaler. She has a spare at her friend Amber's house, so they go there to pick it up. The house is later revealed to be Stu's old house from the original movie. Amber's having a giant party, and we see Chad get murdered. Mindy is then attacked, but Sam intervenes and saves her. The group reunites and all suspect each other. Amber then shoots and kills Liv, revealing herself as the killer. Everybody then flees. Sam finds her sister bound and gagged in her closet. Gail and Sydney arrive at the house, and Amber shoots Gail in the stomach. Sydney shoots Richie in the leg before being attacked and thrown over the second-story railing. Richie reveals himself as the second killer as he attacks Sam. Amber and Richie take Sam, Sydney, and Gail into the kitchen and explain their motive, which is they are obsessive fans of the Stab series. They are disappointed in the trajectory of the franchise and have gone on a killing spree to create some interesting source material for a new movie. They also defend themselves from being, quote, toxic fans, and say there's no such thing. Fandom's born out of love. Amber is then attacked by Tara, allowing Gail to get a gun and shoot Amber. Amber falls into the stove and is ignited before Tara shoots her dead. Sam has a vision of her father before she stabs Richie multiple times, cuts his neck, and unloads several rounds into him. Amber then runs around the corner for one final scare before she is shot yet again. Tara and the twins end up surviving and go to the hospital. Gail decides not to write a book about the murders this time and instead plans to write one about Dewey. Media crews stand outside of the house and report on the incident, just like the ending of the original film. Before the credits roll, we see the words "For Wes" appear on screen. And then
everyone said jabroni.
And then everybody said jabroni.
Perfect.
What if that's really how the movie ended?
It
All
is.
right, so
I know.
let's get into this fucking movie. I will say, this is not my favorite Scream sequel. I think it's a very good Scream sequel. I was very I think my expectations had me kind of thrown off a little bit for this one here. For some reason, I was very ready to receive a movie that like really changed, like went outside of the lines of the franchise as it was as we knew it. I thought they were going to go like ultra meta in a way that we had never seen before, and instead they almost went the complete opposite direction and went back to basics so hard that I was a little bit jarred when I saw it. Actually, I was like, wow, they're sticking so close to the formula in a way that I just really wasn't anticipating. I don't know. What did you guys have in your minds when you were going in to watch this movie?
I think Bob always sets himself up in terrible ways. I feel like the higher the expectations, the lower Bob comes down on it.
Yeah, it really is
expectations.
It's quite a plummet when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think that's the rule of Bob. I'm gonna make the claim. I was trying to work through my mind, so there could be something that I missed. But of the past 5 years, as these reboot sequels have been coming up, where it's not like, in my mind, like a not like Evil Dead from like 2013, where it was like a reimagining, where they're specifically like a Halloween trying to connect them to the original source material, but trying to do a reboot as well. I think this is the most accomplished and the best. And it was funny to have them lay out the rules of those and go through my mind and be like, God, so many of these have failed. I was thinking, Halloween, we saw Candyman last year and stuff like that. I guess we've got like a Chucky and Child's Play, and there's like a handful, and every one of them have left me like really disappointed in serious ways. And this is the only one where I felt like, yep, that's what it should be. And I was so kind of proud of that because I had a blast watching this in the theater. And I think I went in because I was like, this is a January movie, Scream 5. I mean, come on, how good could it be? And I think that's the difference in me and Bob, is because my expectations were like, I was setting them low, and I was so pleasantly surprised, where I was like, yes, I really dug on that.
So I guess I was right in the middle compared to you guys, because to me it was, as far as expectations go, I guess I was completely prepared for either a complete misfire or, like, based on some of the early reviews, a complete Renaissance revival. You know what I mean? So it could have gone either way. It landed somewhere on that spectrum, and it was fortunately on that more favorable end for me. I will say that there are some things that I don't like about this movie. I just, like, my mind wants to go back to the flaws, you know what I mean? Because it's pretty good overall. I don't agree that, like, I don't know that it's I want to give it some space before I start comparing it to Candyman or any of the other, like, requel, I guess, if we're using that term. But I do think it was a good time, and that's all that a Scream movie really needs to be. The commentary that they provide, I think, is smart enough to squeak by, and that's where I think its biggest failing is for my money. But overall, like, it's just, it hits all of the pleasure moments that you want, and it does break the mold slightly by taking out one of the big three. But it's almost kind of like it's like a demanded sacrifice for the continuation of the series. Like, you can't, like, how many sequels are we going to have these three characters barely squeak through before somebody gets at least one? And I was kind of ready for Sydney to take the bullet, you know what I mean? But like, depending on who you ask, unfortunately or fortunately, it was our boy Dewey. And like, the way he went out, I thought was heroic and good or whatever, but I really kind of resent that he was like this penniless drunk in the end. Like, I don't know if they spent a lot of time settling him as like I don't know, having fallen from grace and being really self-pitying, and that's how he goes out, as like, he goes out as the hero, sure, but like, the lead into that is very, I don't know, that was one of the things that I was kind of sad about. I don't think it was necessarily bad, it just wasn't I wanted something better for Dewey, I guess, a little bit. I don't know if you guys felt that way.
Quick, Randy, go ahead and do a reset on your mic there.
Oh.
There we go.
Good call. Good call.
Better?
Sounds the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same. That's weird.
Hold on. Okay. Output.
It's like crumbly.
It is a little overdriven, like maybe the gain's too high,
as it does sometimes, but usually it's fixed when you just do a reset or whatever.
Is that better? I just muted and returned. Any better?
Talk a little bit more.
Talking more, saying things. Any better?
That sounds better. Are you talking at the same level you would be?
About there.
I think it sounds better.
Also,
Randy, too, it could be, I think maybe that background can maybe like lag some stuff out sometimes too, so that could be affecting it as well.
I can take that off. That the picture's done, so I'll just change that. Virtual background, none. Okay, well, let's, if it continues to interrupt me.
It sounds better.
Okay. It does, yeah. It does.
That
sounds warmer.
The visual should have any impact on the
audio, and it might not. I think it actually did get fixed when you did the reset, but I just figured I'd throw that out there as well.
Anyway, so going back to
Rob, you want to pick up?
You guys felt the same about Dewey.
I'll jump. I have thoughts about Dewey real quick.
Okay.
I kind of like saw them killing Dewey off in this movie as like almost necessary because he's escaped death like so many times before. Like there's been, I think it was in 2 where like you almost thought definitively he was dead, but he ends up not dying. I will say like him ending up like stuck in Woodsboro and like being divorced from Gail Weathers like kind of makes sense to me. It's not like I hate to see that for the character, but it makes sense to me. I think the thing that I had the biggest beef with regarding his death was that he was killed by Amber, which is like a teenage girl who like, I don't know, she's like maybe 100 pounds. She's very small and she kills him with a knife and he's like a retired sheriff, like armed with a pistol. And he's like fully like
Who's been
aware
stabbed
that
many times.
Yeah, he has been stabbed many times, but like not in this movie. Like he's still like as healthy as he could be.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It
No,
just-
I that's what I'm saying. Is like this is a guy who's seen it some shit. Like
You're
right.
He's survived, and like this teenage girl is able to take him out with a knife, even though he's like a sheriff with a gun. I don't know. I didn't really like that particularly, but I don't know. You gotta like.
They made it as
accept-
reverent as possible in that
They-
death that he got. Like they even had Ghostface say it's an honor, which is like
Yeah.
just another level of the meta bullshit. You know.
Yeah.
As you're right though, like I don't like that it was this character that was pretty underbaked in herself
Yeah.
as both a suspect, a villain, everything. Like on every level, she was kind of like her and the one other friend in the friend group with the purple hair that was
Liv.
dating her. Yeah. Like those
Yeah.
two seemed like completely underbaked to me. Like they weren't really given much, and I don't know that really. To me, like to have that's where like this movie I thought was going to go bigger was with the reveal of the killers. What they did was like kind of like I can understand the pull for not wanting to kill off all your main characters or have one of them turn into the killer or anything like that. But these are two characters that are mostly not interesting, I would say, in and of themselves.
I would say about the Dewey kill. Okay, so I think y'all are hitting on some things, and it goes back and forth because we've talked about Scream before, and you know these characters, they're the ones who keep returning and coming back. And if I had a critique of this film, I would say almost that even there were a couple characters like in the friend group that were underbaked, but there always are. There's always like a couple that like go out pretty quick, or you just don't really know a lot.
You could
about
argue
them.
that Stu was too. So I mean, it's really up to taste to
and
some
so I'm willing to forgive that. This is the worst kind of addition that these three characters, I think our main characters, have given to a Scream film, and it makes some sense. I mean, at this point they're trying to hand the torch over or whatever. Actually, I'm hoping I like that this closes the door on it.
I hope that last time.
I know, but I really think if this one did close the door on it, it really would make the Scream franchise like the chef's kiss. Because what I did like about the Dewey kill was, again, going back to what this movie is commenting on and trying to achieve, it was badass. Like, this is the gritty remake that so many things say they want to do. And even from the opening, one thing I really like about that is it does that. Just even the way that the Ghostface mask is lit, and he always stabs people, but these stabs, like even in the opening sequence when he steps on that girl's ankle and it snaps, like it's got that like 2018 brutal Halloween where like the stuff is just that much more brutal. Like it actually feels like you're kind of there and you're like, oh God. Every time something happens with Ghostface in this, I felt that. And Dewey's was like going up the gut. And again, how the mask is lit, it's almost like this gray, and the way like she stood there with the two knives. And I was like, damn, they really are nailing this tone that so many people want to achieve and usually fuck it up with terrible like storytelling or whatever it is. But every time, especially that Dewey scene, I was like, that's it. Like, that's it achieved. Yep. That's what everybody wants to do. You're doing it right now. And it was just impressive. I was kind of like almost relieved, like, oh, thank God these people got it. Thank God, because I've seen it attempted again and again and again, and it's like never quite there. And then this time it was, and I love that.
See, I mean, I'm not going to argue that it wasn't good, because it definitely was. I thought that, like, again, like the scene was not bad. It's just I kind of wish, I'm just kind of bummed that Dewey went out the way he did or whatever. But like just from a filmmaking perspective and from like a brutality perspective, yeah, I think it brought. I don't. That's the thing where I kind of tripping up on your analysis.
You guys are cutting in and out for me. Is that just me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it must.
I can hear Randy just fine.
Okay. I don't know what you were saying, Randy. Like, it was not recorded. I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I'll start over.
Okay, I've got it.
Am I coming in clear now?
Like Randy's not having.
Yeah, you sound good now. Yeah, just kind of like restart, please.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not gonna like argue that it wasn't an effective scene in and of itself. Like in a vacuum, it didn't do Dewey so dirty as to be like unforgivable or anything like that. It was just a character choice that they made, and that's all fine. To me, it was just like I just, the only thing I would contend with you is that I don't know that this is, and maybe it's my faulty memory, but I don't think this is so much more brutal as like the first one. I think the movie in general is less pastel than the other sequels, but I think it's pretty comparable tone wise to the first one, which I think was, that's the return to basics for me, is that like it regrounded the franchise a little bit after, especially like, in 3 things became almost a joke. Jay and Silent Bob are there and shit. In 4, even though it's like, they are going back somewhat to basics, they were still also like had an endless parade of celebrities as the intro, meta jokes on top of each other. Like they cut some of that out. They trimmed down on some of that stuff, and they definitely trimmed down on the pastel comedy of the other sequels. So to that end, I say yes. But as far as brutality goes, I guess it just doesn't seem markedly more brutal to me than some of the other kills. That's a small contention though, and I'm not too bothered by it either. I really liked how brutal it was. Like I was like, yeah, like the ankle snap in particular. For some reason, that was the one that was like, okay, we're serious today. But yeah, I don't know. I think that like for me, like I think there's one thing in particular that really stuck in my craw with this movie, and it had to do with all the meta stuff or whatever. I feel like they were straining against that a little bit. Like they were working extra fucking hard to get, something to say, to have something to say about the current state of horror films, and I guess they kind of pivoted to horror fandoms in the end or whatever, and that's fine, I guess. Just things like, I don't know, like the fact that I don't know that I'll ever really forgive this movie for doing anything to legitimize the phrase elevated horror, especially one that's supposed to be, to and for the fans. To me, it's like, I don't know any horror fans that do anything but scoff at that title. Like, do you? I've never heard anybody in the horror community embrace the idea, or outside even.
I gotta disagree with you like 100% on that. Not necessarily the use of the term, but I was like cracking up to myself. These are the discussions we have as horror fans in our Slack constantly about.
Yeah, no, I am like talking specifically about the label.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
elevated
the label,
horror because it's so diminutive to the other side. Like I've never heard anybody argue anything besides that. Like elevated horror.
Hang on. You guys are just like fucked up all over the place. I'm gonna go see if Alex is like doing something crazy with the internet or something. Like I don't know. Like it's not,
Randy's been fine this whole time for me.
Yeah, I haven't had
both. It's both of y'all fucking up left and right. Like it's not. Hang on, let me pause this fucking recording.
Do you want to like rejoin? Maybe that'll help too.
Maybe. Hang on 1 second.
Okay. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the meat
for a long time.
I did. I have no idea what's caught and what's not. So, well, I'm trying not to lose that thread.
No.
When we restart, because that's kind of like, I don't know.
Like I've heard every single word you've said.
Yeah, I haven't had any breaks whatsoever, actually. So I don't know. Bob's going in to beat Alice.
Oh God.
Oh no, I didn't. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I was downloading Brendan Fraser's new movie. Oh God.
Looking at low. Oh, went very fuzzy there. Let's see. That's better.
Yeah, let me try and rejoin. I guess I don't know.
Ooh, now
Actually,
Bob's
you might be
sounding-
jumping
yeah,
for me a
you're
little bit.
sounding bad. Yeah.
Try rejoining. Definitely try rejoining. I can hear you jumping, Bob.
Yeah, you're the one who's jumping now.
Yeah, you guys are fucking robots. Let me get out of here.
That
Man,
mother
harsh criticism.
for literally, because I remember coming home for Christmas to like 2019. I was like, Bob, let's go to Best Buy right now and buy you a computer that you can hardwire into. No, wait on that. It's like, dude, still using a cell phone on Wi-Fi.
Man, I don't know. I didn't know it was Bob holding that up. I thought we were just like not.
I mean,
following
I
through on it.
literally anytime around him, I'll mention it, and he never. Behind the scenes.
Yeah, I've heard him. I don't know, man. Yeah, this is behind the scenes. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't I didn't know there was. I think we're just dragging our feet on it, maybe, but
Could be, yeah.
like significantly, I guess. Any better, Bob?
How you feeling about it?
Keep talking.
Hello, Bob. How are you feeling
Jesus
about
fucking
it?
Christ.
Oh,
Como
God.
está?
Yes, not good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is it good?
Oh,
Is it
yeah,
good stuff?
Bob. Oh,
Oh.
Bob's not
Oh,
glitching
Bob.
for me right now.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, Bob.
shit.
Oh.
Oh my God.
We were joking about
Oh.
you beating Alice in the other room.
That's horrible.
You're taking my bandwidth.
Yeah,
You put my bandwidth back.
Are you downloading Brendan Fraser's new movie?
I gotta find a place to cut us back in.
Oh man. Yeah. Let us know what we were saying because like I was talking for a minute.
Yeah.
Bob, no. She calls him Bob.
Bob. No, she does not.
Babu,
As we have
oh
learned.
no, God.
Babu. Babu.
Nobody fucking calls me Babu.
Maybe it's time they did.
All right. So it seems like the best place to cut back in was we were talking about the use of the term elevated horror. And Andy, you were just talking about how you didn't really like that. And Juice, right where you started like rebuttaling is where everything went fucking nuts. So I just cut everything you said out. So if we want to pick back up with you saying like, well, actually we have these conversations in our Slack all the time and
Okay.
jump from there, we can
Line.
do
Line. All right, I'll start. I'll kick it off.
that. All right. You guys sound good. Hopefully it stays. All right, I'm gonna start recording again. I'll give you the finger.
I just heard a little robot. Okay, cool.
And actually, I think these are discussions that we have all the time in our Slack. So I was like smiling to myself when they were bringing this specific thing up, especially in the introduction of this movie, because it kind of sets that tone. And I don't think it's so crazy to think, because you got to remember who was speaking at the time. This is a teenager who is
Mhm.
claiming as a horror fan. And so I found it interesting to see, maybe I found it believable that someone would be like, no, ask me about It Follows, The Witch,
Yeah.
Hereditary, that they themselves would refer to it as elevated horror. I'm not saying that, we do, or that's what but like, I recognize what she was talking about when she used that term and found it, kind of cute in a way, or I found it entertaining.
Really?
Yeah.
No, see,
Yeah.
and I want to be clear here. I'm not complaining about that they talked about that schism. Like that's, I think, an important schism to note, and I think that it, to whatever extent we want to have a conversation about that in the Scream franchise, which is I think that's perfectly on the table. You know what I mean? To me, it's just the fact that the movie Scream has now used the term elevated horror, to me means that it is now in the general lexicon about horror movies, and there's no turning it back now. And it seems to me like I don't think
was really.
I don't think so, man. I think it was heartily rejected by most horror fans.
Well, they also like name drop torture porn in part 4 or whatever, and I think it was because it is part of pop culture, and that's why they're commenting on it in the movie. That's what they're doing, is they're commenting on pop culture because it already exists. You know.
Oh my God! Hold on.
Yeah.
Rennie got too worked up and knocked his mic out.
It just does it on its own sometimes. Am I any better?
Yeah. You're fine.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have any problem with them talking about either of those things.
No,
it's
we
really
know.
just the term.
He was saying that you're locking in the idea of elevated horror, but I think you're I do not agree with you that this was like completely rejected by the entire horror community, and now Scream 5 has said it. That's what it's locked into.
I think a very minor contingent of people might have embraced it initially, but it got huge fucking backlash. And to me, it's like, I don't know, it's like legitimizing something that could have just faded away. And it would have been better if it did, because to me and to most of the people that I saw talking about this, it's a little insulting to people who like the horror movies that already are.
To Randy's point, I completely agree that using the term elevated horror sort of infers that like horror that was made before 2015 is like not elevated. It's for stupid viewers who want like blood and guts and tits or whatever, which is not the case, obviously, as we have discussed time and time again on this show. But I do think this movie does a good job at commenting on a lot of like modern trends and rules. And like they talk about the elevated horror stuff. And Tara, like even at the end, she's like, I still prefer Babadook. Like that's funny. And they also do a great job. They also do a great job at outlining the rules of like a prequel or like a quote legacy sequel. I guess some people are calling movies like this a legacy sequel. I think he does a really great job in a way that some of the other Scream sequels fail at like outlining rules in like really breaking those down. I think where this movie fails pretty like terrifically, in my opinion, is that it outlines all of these rules and explains to you exactly what these requels do, but it does not go outside of those rules. It does not subvert or break any of them at all. It just follows them to the T, which I think ultimately creates a somewhat boring sequel, like all these other movies that they are referencing. They're kind of boring and derivative, like this movie, I think.
This movie calls itself out for being derivative, which I both appreciate and frustrates me, because it's like, to me, it's almost like this movie hits this cadence where I feel like people in a few years will watch this movie and watch it with the same way they would listen to Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. They think they're listening to a song that's about how great America is, but it's not. It's fucking sarcasm. It's irony being used for laughs for people that know better, that this is, and the fact that they didn't subvert it, to your point, is a part of that. But also, I don't know that these rules like I don't think they really apply to more than a handful of movies anyway. So like it's already going to be broken. And I don't know. It just seems like if you're pretending to be the thing that you are making fun of, you aren't really making fun of it. Like unless you are commenting on it, like you're outlining something, but you're not commenting on it, is the problem I have.
I guess that's one. Oh, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead.
So that's one of the things that like Scream, the original Scream, does so spectacularly, is it comments on all these horror movies and it outlines the rules for you very clearly, and then it subverts and breaks a lot of them. That's what makes Scream so fucking interesting. This movie does all of that, but it doesn't break or subvert any of the rules. It like kind of misses the point that it's setting up. It doesn't drive it home.
I would potentially, and I'm not sold to myself, I'm just thinking this out loud, really.
Okay. Yeah.
I think maybe Scream 4 did that piece better than this movie, which is interesting because I like this movie a little bit better than that one overall. I just feel like it's a stronger film. I was more invested in it. But I think that it commented on the idea of reboots and those sort of things a lot more pointedly in the original, or in the fourth one, where they end on "Don't fuck with the original" from Sidney Prescott. That's a lot more. That's a lot more significant to me than "Don't fuck with the daughter of a serial killer" from Sam.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
From the
and
dawn, and like it's just not as strong. Like
I
they're not
don't-
commenting really to me.
I
And maybe
s-
the most commentary they have is from Mitch, I think his name was, talking about toxic fandoms, which I think is
Richie. Yeah.
Richie. Thank you. I think that's what they could have focused on and really had something to
I like
say.
that. I like that. Yeah.
I experienced this movie so differently because what I saw them doing and what I think they did is actually doing what people cannot do, in that they made this legacy sequel. And I feel like where they say, like, you know, they try to do this new, I feel like we say this in our critiques all the time, where they want to pay, like we talk about, even when you're talking about with Ghostbusters, you have just so much reverence for the first film, but you also want to do your own thing that usually just completely conflict and make a big jumbled mess. And like, yeah, okay, in that way, this movie is like simple, I guess, or like we say, back to basics, are not like super complicated or not like super overachieved. But to me, each scene, especially after laying out the rules, to me, it really was just like, see how easy this is, or like, see how you're supposed to do it. And every time I was like, yes, thank God, yes, because I couldn't just help the past 3 years, at least, every time one of these movies comes out, it always starts off with like, oh, it was solid, I like the way they did this, I'll put this new thing, and then oh, this new thing, and that kind of like doesn't make sense. But this time I was just like, that's what I generally want. What this movie, I'm not saying it's like the best fucking thing, but it's the best fucking thing as far as these legacy sequels go.
I disagree with you. I mean, I don't necessarily see, like, and I think that comes from you having such hard feelings towards all of those other films. Like, and I don't have hardened feelings about all of them to the point that you seem to. And that's fine, you know, whatever. Like, but to me, this is like, I don't know, like, let's take old Billy Loomis, for example. Billy Loomis is a fucking Jedi ghost in this movie. And I'm split. I'm fucking split. Because he's a fucking stupid ass, like, contrived inclusion. But I also love seeing Skeet in the role. Like the fan service landed for me. But I know in my heart that it is only good for fan service. And the fact that, like, I don't know, even like having him like fucking show up and do this thing, like hush to Sam and point to a knife, like he's a fucking Force ghost. What are we doing? Like, I want to see that character back. Can we do a flashback? Can we do a VHS tape of him and his childhood? Like, do we have to have it done in this really, really silly way? And I don't think we do. To me, things like that are just like, I don't know. I don't feel like that. I think that detracts in a way that the original doesn't have that sort of thing bogging it down. And I don't think that it's any more or less contrived than some of the stuff we've seen in some of these other legacy sequels.
To kind of piggyback on the point that you're making here, Randy, like something we mentioned in passing that I want to circle back to is like how this movie was sort of like going back to basics from the original Scream. And in a lot of ways it is, but I think only like in plot, not in tone. This movie makes the same mistake that all of these other legacy sequels make that I know we've talked about before on the show, where it has such extreme reverence for the original, and it takes the original movie like so much more seriously than the original movie took itself, and tries to like bring that back as if that was how the original was made when it wasn't. Like, if you watch the original Scream, it is funny, it is hilarious. There's fucking Wes Craven is in the movie dressed in a fucking Freddy Krueger sweater, and then we see like Henry Winkler go, "Oh hey Fred," and then we see the fucking Fonz get murdered. Like, this movie's not that at all. This movie takes itself so fucking seriously. It takes the original so fucking seriously. I feel like it just makes the same mistakes that a lot of these other legacy sequels do make. I'm not saying this is a terrible movie by any means, but it kind of falls into that same trap.
I think that's really like a personal, like, how you take it. And I don't think that any one of us has like a definitive, opinion. Like our opinions are definitive on that. But I think that I see it more your way than I see it Juice's, Bob. I think because like you have like there is a lot of reverence for the original, and I don't think that that's unearned because you still have 3 fucking characters from the original. But and then the movie itself makes a point to call out how derivative it is. Like we're in the same fucking house. Are you serious? Like,
and I love all
which
of
I
that,
love that,
like,
but also you are what you pretend to be. It's that same problem.
If they had done all of that up to that point and acknowledged like, wow, this is derivative as fuck, and then like we're like in the same house, and then they like changed the formula and did something truly original, this would be a fucking home run. But they don't. Yeah. They just do the same thing.
So it's the ending for you that really
disappointing,
Bob.
No, it's not really. I did enjoy the ending. It's not a bad ending. It's the fact that they comment on everything in a very smart way, and then they just change. They don't change anything. It's just the same. It's just all the same, man. That's really my biggest problem.
This is coming from a place of love because I did love this movie to some extent. Like I think that it's one of my favorite. Like I don't know. I'm still waiting to rank it for myself, but I think it's one of my favorites. Like out of the Scream sequels, I don't see, and I think most people tend to agree with that. That it doesn't hold a candle to Scream, but it is the best or one of the best sequels out of the 5. I think that's fair to say. I think that like it seems like that's the consensus view.
We can focus on some pros for a while. So I know we kind of been like
we have.
I've been focusing on them. No, I'm just.
You've been in defensive positions, so let's highlight the good stuff.
So I texted Bob about an hour in. I was like, I think I know who the killer is. The killers are, and this.
Were you right?
I was not, and I think I told you Friday. I was like, I wasn't even on.
I didn't guess at all. Did Randy, did you guess?
Did you try to guess, Randy? Who you thought it would be?
I didn't make an explicit attempt to try, but there was a few times where I was like, yeah, that's a little suspicious. Like I internally guessed a couple times, but not in any way that I would put money on.
So here are my 2 guesses. I had a regular, like, okay, it's within the people that you see and like you can guess who it is and this is the route they're going. I had that guess, and then I had like kind of what Bob was saying, if it all like switched over, and kind of like my little hope for the crazy twist. So my regular guess was I thought it was going to be the twins, which would make more sense with the Dewey kill, like because you got the big jock guy or whatever. I thought it was going to be a twins, and I thought they were going to go like a revenge for Randy way, because as soon as we show up to their house and they have like the memorial for Randy and shit, and finding out that this girl is like Billy Loomis's daughter and be like,
named Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought it was gonna kind of go that route, and that would have brought some of the levity too, like a revenge for Randy or whatever. I thought so. I was like, it's the twins. That's kind of cool. But it wasn't.
The dead giveaway that wasn't the case is when they killed Dewey and they didn't say Randy. That was the giveaway.
Also, my like crazy twist that I kind of wish they had done to kind of speak to Bob's, they could have done something crazy. Since we are already doing the Billy Loomis ghost, Lillard has said in interviews like, oh, we don't actually know that Stu died, and they're like in Stu's house. Dude, I thought it was going to be one of those things where you never could get like. I
kind of thought that might happen too.
All the screams, but this one, like, it's fucking Lillard. You can't.
It's the fucking Saw 6 ending.
Yeah,
and I was waiting for a third killer that never came. I thought they were going to do something brand new.
I was like, they might bring, because everybody was nuts there except, and I was like, I know they mentioned, oh, we're in Stu's house, but I was like, if they brought Lillard back to be the killer that you never could guess, I was like, that's it. Because also Billy Loomis betrayed him, so I was like, oh, it could have a motivation to like he's getting revenge on Billy's daughter. I was like, that would be so fun, but neither of those things happened. I was like,
I'm hardwired not to try and figure out who the killer is, I think, because in these movies inevitably like it ends up being somebody else. And the thing is, like, this movie in particular, it's really obvious, like in terms of motives, they all have one and they all fit the rules perfectly. Like everybody there follows that rule of needing to have a connection to a legacy character of some kind. Every single person in their friend group is a progeny of somebody in the original fucking friend group. And that's, it's a little tough to swallow for my taste, even within a Scream movie, just a little bit. But, if they're going to do that, then that really keeps the doors completely open until they're just basically monologued out, shut. You know what I mean? there's no point in guessing in my mind. It's like, just let it wash over.
Well, since y'all didn't try, those were my guesses. I do want to give more
That's
positives.
a solid
though.
guess. I think that's a good guess, by the way.
Let me give some more positives to this. Another thing that I thought they did a good job, and it kind of goes back to Dewey, but it's other places as well, especially Judy or whatever. Making these kills feel like they matter. We just watched Halloween Kills where we're like, these are old school characters that they're specifically bringing back to like give this some kind of weight and value. And sometimes even like Judy, in the fourth one, she's trying to split Gail and them up, and she's got this loose thing, but her rushing back home to save her son and then getting stabbed in the gut and then the son dying anyways, I was like, man, that's pretty heavy. And then Dewey, getting it too with Gail calling him and they had their little exchange. I was like, you know what? For a movie, especially like Bob said, for a movie franchise that really is the one who kind of pokes fun and does these silly things, it feels like all of the other franchises have taken on that role. And that's why I was kind of forgiving in this one too, because again, where I was saying like, yes, you're actually accomplishing what nobody else can do. It almost was like a role reversal where like, yeah, normally the Halloweens of the world are the serious ones and Scream is the one who kind of pokes fun at it. But in this way, where it's like fucking like what Rob was saying in Halloween Kills, where that guy is like, come get some, I'm gonna give it to you, Michael, and all this bullshit that seems so silly, fucking bomb me bullshit, where Scream's the one that's actually taking it seriously and giving weight to these characters that are normally goofy, and you feel so tragic when they actually.
That's interesting.
So I liked that aspect too.
That is interesting. Like that's a fair point to say that like the Scream as a franchise, or I'm sorry, Scream as a franchise and Halloween as a franchise with this, if you're comparing the apples to apples, like reboot sequels, against each other like that, the tone's kind of like middle towards each other a little bit, where Halloween gets a little bit more willing to joke around, a little bit more willing to be silly, and Scream gets a little bit more willing to just play it straight. So to that, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a ding against either one movie, though. I think that's just an evolution that maybe makes it more appealing to wider audiences, which is all these movies are trying to do anyway.
I agree. The kill sequences in this are very well played out. They're not like super inventive. People are just getting stabbed, but when they do get stabbed, specifically Officer Judy and her son Wes, like you really feel that shit. And then Dewey's the next kill right after that, dude. Like when Wes gets stabbed and then like slides down the door and Ghostface is locking eyes with him as he slides all the way down, that there's like a certain intensity and brutality that I want from most slasher movies that does fail to deliver, that I wouldn't expect from Scream, but Scream does deliver. So like that was a little surprising. That intensity usually isn't existent in a Scream movie. But
I mean, it's a nice thing.
It is. I appreciate it. I want to see like my absolute favorite thing about this movie. The thing that really surprised me was the motive. It's hard to see the motive coming usually. I never would have guessed that the killers were just like horror movie fans that were just killing people to provide some sort of like source material because they're tired of watching shitty movies and they're hoping somebody's gonna make a movie about the shit that they're doing. I love that. I think it's hilarious the way the characters talk about meeting on like a subreddit and shit. And I also think it's very smart in a sort of like, a snake eating its own tail way, that like the first movie is commenting on how, horror movies don't make serial killers, they make killers more creative. And in this movie, these killers are trying to make horror movies more creative by killing. Like this whole like circular motive, I didn't think of it that way, is hilarious, and I love that so much. I thought that was a stroke of brilliance.
I really wish, honestly, like that's a great point, and I kind of wish the movie had landed that point better, because if I had gotten that, like, and maybe it's just me being dense, that's very possible, but like, in fairness,
we're elevated, we're not.
My elevator goes to the basement level. So. No, but like if they had pushed that and that they had landed on that line even or something like that and just really laid it on thick with that, I think that would have like completely assuaged my misgivings about, who the killers are and why. Because I think it's interesting that they're like, I was like, okay, so they're toxic fans. This is a commentary about how, fan spaces can get really fucked up, and of course nobody who's fucked up thinks they're fucked up, and so these fucked up people find each other and then they do something fucked up. Okay, sure. But if they had landed where you just landed for me, I would have been like, okay, yeah, great. Like this is the commentary that I expect from Scream. So maybe it's a matter of them not pressing the gas hard enough for my stupid brain, or maybe it's just, they didn't land it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't remember that line from the original, then you probably aren't going to make
it didn't
that
cross my
connection.
mind. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If they had, and that's a perfect thing to literally say, because it's spoken in the first movie, and it's like,
Yeah.
you're right. That's the thesis statement of the movie.
Yeah.
Have a thesis statement here. Have one. Like this one doesn't really have one, except to say generally that toxic fans exist and they bad. And it's like, okay, like, sure.
Well, it wasn't just that. There were so many moments in here that like rang true as something of like, yeah, that's believable in a way. For instance, the girl saying the elevated horror based on these kids' age and their attitudes and stuff, that came off as totally believable to me. This girl living in Stu's house and then becoming obsessed with it, that came off as totally believable to me.
Yeah.
Like that idea that they were
okay,
selling. Sure. There was this moment of levity as we talked about. This movie's not. It's the least jokey of all the Scream films, but there was this one moment that kind of got a chuckle out of me. I wish we maybe could have had a couple more like it, where he was watching Stab 8 and he was like, Ghostface new weapon or whatever
with the silver mask or whatever.
Yeah,
that shit, that was a direct jab at Star Wars.
That
shit,
man, that shit was getting me pretty good. I wish there were, because even in 4, they were showing scenes from Stab 6 and 7, and that's clever and cute and fun. Yeah. So I'm glad that they kind of kept that going in this one, and I did like that moment.
Yeah, I would agree. I can't think of another like really funny moment besides that. There's some like kind of pithy dialogue, but for the most part, there's no like.
Yeah, there's not that, and actually the twins kind of ended up being some of the lighter characters, I guess.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I didn't mean to catch up. Well, I was just gonna say, like, did they ever pay off? Maybe it was just meant to be a red herring, pure and simple, but the bruises on the football player twin, like they never really paid that off in any way, did they?
He said it was from football.
Right, yeah. I know, but it's like it seemed, even the way he said it was very like suspicious, and not in a way where I'm like, that's I know, and like I guess it's just a red herring, but to me it's like I wish they had done, if they're gonna show something like that, I feel like they got to pay it off a little bit better. But it's a minor gripe, very minor.
I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on the opening scene. Scream is notorious for having some of the best opening scenes in any movie, specifically horror, but really any movie if you get down to it. Like the original is just fucking iconic, man. Watching this, I was personally disappointed in it. It felt I don't know, just like it was cribbing on the original, but also like in a way that just, it really added nothing. And I think if it did anything, it took something away, in that it's the only opening scene for a Scream movie that does not result in a kill. It just felt like it pulled the punch. I don't know. Did you guys have any feelings about that scene?
I do, yeah.
You do,
yeah.
You do what?
Yeah, I do. I like. Okay, I was just waiting. It seemed like Raina was about to say something, but I
talked a lot.
We know, but I was gonna say that I liked it for almost that reason that you said, because this is a movie where we're talking about to me it wasn't a pull punch, because as I mentioned before, it set the tone for me of like, I think this Scream movie is going to be brutal, and I get that they're trying to make them brutal, like I've heard other franchises trying to do their legacy sequels or whatever. So so that set that good tone for me. But and then when she lived, I was like, okay, this is where they're trying to kind of do their own thing, this girl lived. And I actually, another positive thing, I really like to continue off of that I'm glad they didn't kill this girl, is because I really like the relationship between the sisters. And I love that moment where she has that, she at the end where she's questioning whether her sister's the killer. That was a great moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm super glad that
They
they
paid that
didn't
off great.
kill the sister. You know, I know it could have been any character, it could have been anyone, but to me, I like the setting and it left, or the opening, because it left me with a smile saying, like, I think I know what I'm in for. And that's what I got. Actually, this opening sequence gave me what I thought this movie was going to give me because of that.
I see Rob's point. I like to me, it's like, yeah, I guess you could see it as a pull punch, but I can understand feeling that way. For me, it really felt like the expected amount of subversion for the beginning. I guess I was more like happy that they didn't try and outdo the meta of the fourth movie,
one,
the
yeah.
meta intro.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, how are they going to intro this movie after doing that shit? They like,
Yeah.
they're going to go, how can they go bigger? They've got to go smaller, right? And they did, which I was like, okay, this is good. And then like the fact that she survived, to me, and also the brutality, like I guess that sort of set the tone for me that this is like, okay, so maybe this is, you know, like these ghost face killers are, you know, less capable. Maybe, you know, maybe this part of the subversion. I thought at one point, that when Dewey was fighting Ghostface and when he was right before he walked away the first time, I thought that they were going to have like a kill mid-film, and I was gonna be like, holy shit, we're gonna find out who one of the killers is in the middle of the fucking movie. That would be nuts. And I was like, that's a brilliant choice, but no, that didn't happen. And I can understand that, like, that would be extremely difficult to do. But like, I don't know. I think that I was ready for that kind of subversion. So the minor subversion of the character at the beginning surviving and getting to play a part in the rest of the film didn't really rank, I guess.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me.
One thing I will point out, so of course, as fans, you know, and I listened to Bob's feature recently on A Cut Above and stuff like that, but we even had our own personal discussion, like, what do you think Scream could do? What meta, since Randy pointed out how crazy the fourth one was, what could they do? And here's some things that I'm glad that they did not do. I'm glad they didn't make the original cast the killers.
Yeah. That was the thing I was most afraid of, because you're going to lose everybody that way. Like, nobody wants to see Sidney Prescott turn evil. Nobody wants a heel turn
or
for
Dewey. Yeah.
Even Gail, who is the most vitriolic of the bunch, nobody wants to see her fall from grace in that way.
So I'm really glad they didn't do that. I'm kind of glad they didn't see, and I think that's the thing too. 4 did such crazy meta stuff, and I actually watched 4 to prepare for this film too. And while it's good and I like it a lot, in the same way that the opening of this sequence kind of ties to the ending of this movie, you know, that one kind of did too, the false leads, and it becomes this almost gimmick where you open with the like, oh, it's not done, and in the same way it ends that way, it's not done, and then once you're kind of in on the joke, it does become like a little much. I respect it because it's unique and it's original, but also too, I see the gimmick for what it is. It's gimmicky. And so in the same way, like this one, I'm glad they didn't try to be too gimmicky. And I think that felt refreshing to me, especially because they did it for the fourth one. There's no need to make this one the actual real life movie that the first one could have been based on. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they could have easily tried to go bigger, but they didn't. And I respect that. I have to respect that, because in my opinion, they pulled off the simplicity of it.
Look, you know, I agree. I think that, like, I like what we got, and I don't want to like poo-poo what we got, because it is hard to come by a good sequel and its fifth entry.
In January.
You know what I mean? In January. Oh no. The death knell. But like, also, I do want to say, like, there are some subversion, some like completely balls to the wall, weird choices they could have made that I would have respected for the big swing, purely and simply. Yeah. I might have even respected having one of the original 3 kill, even though I would have definitely hated it. That's where the level I'm talking about, where it's like, well, you know what? They didn't do the same thing. And, you know, like that's worth something. It's not worth everything, and it doesn't make it a good movie necessarily, but it can, and it's more likely to, because you don't know what to expect. So if they had done something like what you were saying, like if they hadn't called this movie Stab and made it fucking, you know, the movie in the movie, and making it meta commentary, like they could have done that. and it would have been fucking bizarre and really hard to make work. But they could have theoretically done that. They could have killed one of the killers in the midway through, and we have to figure out what their motivations were so we can find out who they were connected to, add in different level to the whodunit factor. They could have done a number of things like that that are difficult, but could have reaped bigger rewards than this got. It could have made this movie even better. Instead, we got the fan service. Lord knows we got the fan service in the form of fucking ghosts and shit. And it's like, like that's all well and good. I'm glad I got to see Skeet in the get up again to some degree, but it didn't. But it's not that's not what I really wanted to see out of this movie. I wanted to be thrilled and scared and surprised, and I got most of that. But it could have been done better, I think. And I think that like the only way they could have done it differently to get that result would have been to take a big swing with a high margin of error. So I don't know. I'm a little split on that. I think I am happy with what we got, though. I do want to stick with that.
I think it is about time to land that plane. Let's go ahead and rate this movie out of 5. Juice, kick us off. How do you feel?
All right. So this has some push and pull. This isn't an absolute home run, but in some ways it kind of is for me and for what it is. As I was watching this, I was relieved and pleased that, to me, it really kind of nailed what so many franchises in my mind have failed over the past at least 5 years. I've expressed my frustrations with a lot of these franchise movies and stuff like that, and just the way it's not pulled off so many times, where in my mind sometimes it seems so easy or it's almost there. It's just that under the skin frustration, where this one I was like, it was like the pressure was released, or I was like, yeah, thank you. Like I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but you just gave it to me, and like that felt like a relief. Like, yes. However, I do think over the years, this movie is going to be one of the most kind of forgettable Screams, but I think it's kind of built in too. I mean, it has the least amount of interaction and input from the original characters. So, and you, in a way, you have to do that. I mean, even, man, like, not everybody's getting up there and everything, but like Courtney Cox, man, I was just like, I don't want to see these characters anymore. What they gave me was like enough, but in the grand scheme of Scream, it's the least amount, generally. So it's like kind of a catch-22 in some ways. And that's why I feel like if this is the last one, I will be so happy with the just overall general Scream franchise, almost like where it ended, kind of where it began. And if that's the case, then I love the simplicity of it. As I said before, I love the general kind of brutality and more straight tone that they were kind of playing with everything. I liked guessing again. I liked being there and guessing and not getting it, but it making sense and it not being this crazy twist. I liked that they didn't try to go too crazy meta. I would have been on board if they tried and would have given it a fair shake. But I'm glad that they didn't feel obligated to do that. I thought this was, especially with, Wes Craven not being involved and, the main characters not having such a huge role. I think this is about as good as you could get, honestly. I really do. And I'm proud of them for doing that. And I'm like happy that it exists and that I got to watch it. I really left the theater. I was like, thank God.
And can I wear the Scream mask, the mask from Scream, when I do you from behind?
Dude,
yes, you can.
We've all been there. Also, I wanted to mention, as the credits kicked in, I was like, I don't know if there's any extra added thing, so I don't have any place to be. I'll sit and watch this. And the song that kicks that off, like the soundtrack for this, was baller, and I thought was great because every Scream comes out kind of in a different generation, and I thought the song and like the general soundtrack nailed this time when it's coming out. So I like that too. I liked this movie. This might sound a little high, but I just want to give it credit where so many people have failed, especially without Wes Craven and stuff like that. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
All right.
I liked it. Yeah.
Solid rating from Juice.
Out of 5, Scream. This is your franchise, my guy.
Your franchise.
It's mine. I directed them all.
How do you feel about part 5? How do you feel about 5 Cream 2020 Deuce?
5 Cream is a solid sequel. They get a lot of shit right. They get some stuff wrong, I think. Some stuff we didn't really mention. I dig that they include Red Right Hand.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
back.
they
It's
did.
back.
That shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was nice.
Also, Dewey's theme, which Randy did a little needle drop at the beginning of the show. Dewey's theme is back. I really appreciated the like massive nod to Wes Craven. One of the main characters in the movie is named Wes. The big party sequence at the end is sort of like a memorial for Wes, and they have a huge banner that just says like for Wes on it, like hanging throughout the whole end sequence. I love that, man. That's fucking great. I like how the vast majority of the trivia questions in this movie are about the Stab series. It sort of adds a little extra layer of meta in there that the other sequels didn't really like focus on at all in a way they probably should have. The Randy homage was cool. Like it's like extremely like God knows we fucking seen it. But I liked it still. At the end of the day, like his niece is on the couch, watching a movie Stab that was based on his exact murder in the exact room where he was murdered, telling the actor on screen to turn around, and then as she's doing that, realizes she herself should probably turn around and does, and ends up surviving. I thought that was like cool, but also like it's just the exact same shit that we've seen before. The Billy Loomis like Force Ghost is not my favorite thing, but I will give them props in that that's probably the most original and like new thing they did in this movie. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either because it was like a fresh thing that no other Scream movie's ever done before. So I give them props for that. The brutality in the kills was like really fucking palpable. Like you feel every single kill in this movie. They really drive that shit home, and I appreciate that out of really any slasher movie. If you can like make the kills matter and make your audience feel that you're doing something right. Again, the motive, by far my favorite part of the movie. I love how that whole thing comes full circle. Movies make killers more creative. The killers are in this movie trying to make the movies more creative. It's fucking smart. I love it. I think the biggest problem I have with this movie, though, again, is like, as the characters themselves say in this movie, this is the most derivative installment in the franchise. And I think it's super ironic that our killers go so far to say that they are doing this because they want to inspire filmmakers to make an interesting movie. But at the end of the day, this movie in and of itself is just the same shit we've already seen before. And it's not inspired. It's just a fucking retread. Like if they had just switched something up in the last act, it really would have been a home run. And I feel like they highlight that so clearly and then just do the same shit. And it's like, man, you fucking, the layup is there, but you just don't slam dunk it. It's so close. I still think it's a really solid movie. It's a solid slasher movie. It's a solid Scream sequel. The reverence it holds for the original is annoying. And it just, like I said, it just kind of does the same things that it highlights these other legacy sequels do, and it makes the same mistakes, which is a bummer. But I don't know. I'm gonna give this a 3.5. It's solid. Randy, how do you feel?
I mean, you're making a lot of sense for my money. You actually like you're putting a button on the ending for me. It was like that kind of turned the tide a little bit on my feelings, because I was more I came into this expecting this episode to be a polar opposite to last week's Doom, where it was a shitty movie that I was lightly defending, and I thought I was going to be the only person in the room not gushing wildly, and that was going to be put on the offensive for this one, and it wasn't. I'm glad, like, you guys seem to, I think, have different but I think reasonable opinions about this, and I think that in particular kind of swayed me in this movie's favor even more, because I do really like this movie. I don't think it holds a candle to one. I mean, I don't think it could. I think that like sequels in general are doomed to fail in that way unless they're like hit some sort of mega jackpot gold that takes a big swing, which is why I would have been okay with them going a lot bigger the way that they did with 4, but even bigger than that in some capacity that nobody could have seen coming. They didn't do that. They brought it back to basics, and for being basics of Scream, I think it did a pretty damn good job. And I think that, you know, all of my misgivings for the most part are pretty minor quibbles. I really like, I still feel like the term elevated horror could have easily died off, but now this gives it new life that it does not need, and I don't want it to have. And so I don't know that I'll forgive this movie for that, for breaking the lexicon. But you know, people disagree. That's fine. I just feel like that, and that's very much like that's a me thing. I know that. So I was looking back, and I gave Halloween 2018 a 4, and I was thinking to myself that was about where I think that I'm going to land this, and I ended up, because of that, I think that the conversation about how one sort of like started like bringing in some levity and Scream started removing levity, and they're sort of like they're mainlining together a little bit, and I don't want them to become homogenous. God, I don't want the movie that comments on movies to become exactly a one-to-one with the movies that it's parodying. That would be fucking stupid. And that, to Rob's point, I think that there is some danger of that with this because they don't break enough of the mold, but they also show enough reverence without going overboard too much, too often, to where I feel like they're about on par with each other. So I'm going to give this a 4, which I'm shocked to be the one giving it the highest rating, honestly.
I gave it a 4 as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought you gave it a 3.5, but yeah, I think it's a 4. I think it's, you know, I liked Halloween 2018 as well. I think I like them about the same amount, but I like that this movie really recaptured a lot of what the original had while still having something to say, even though I think it was poorly communicated. And I do think that it, you know, the original wasn't perfect either. So for my money, I think that they both have their little slings, their little, you know, chinks in the armor, but for the most part, they're fucking enjoyable movies. And how are you gonna like not enjoy this movie, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, it's a 4.
All right, Randy. We rated it higher than Bob.
I'm surprised. I was like,
surprised.
okay,
Scream over there.
I didn't predict who the killers were in this movie, but I did predict how we would all react, and I wrote it down.
You wrote it down
in advance.
And
boy, was I fucking wrong.
What is this?
I wrote down
I can't read it.
Rob is a stan. It was my first comment.
What's the
I wrote, yeah, Rob is a stan. Juice is pleased but indifferent mostly. Randy is a bummer. That's what I wrote.
Pretty wrong.
Yeah, I was very wrong, actually.
Wow.
I was actively attempting not to be a bummer. I guess I was shooting myself in the foot. But
Rob is a stan.
That's I'm shocked to be the lowest rating on this movie, but that still puts our aggregate at a 3.8, which is very favorable.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I will say, like, thank God we're starting 2022 with this movie, because
Me
this is
too.
a great start to the year.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I was a little down on this, like, fuck, this is a great start to
Dude,
I'm
here-
excited.
And I really do think that like, if we hadn't had this past year that we had, maybe
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been as favorable. But coming into this movie, a January movie after 2021, and then leaving the theater, I was like, ooh.
Thank God.
you had a lot riding on this one.
I did.
You put it all on black, my friend.
Yeah, I did. And
Don't
then
fuck
luckily,
me, radio silence.
yeah,
Don't do it.
luckily they nailed it. Cool.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Scream.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to give these two gents the chance to guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate scores are on RottenTomatoes.com for Scream 2022. Let's start with the critic score, as we usually do. And there are 191 reviews culled here, so factor that in however you will. I'll start with Bob this week. Bob, what do you think the critics feel about this movie aggregate wise?
The critics, this is tough. This is a tough one. I'm going to go relatively positive, but not like crazy. give me an 80, please.
80. All right. 80% for Bob. Soju, where are you landing on this one?
I agree. I think we're gonna be men of the critics this week. 3.8 is 76. I think we're gonna be close. I mean, 80 is close, but I'll take the low end. I'll say 75 since it's like close to 76.
75. All right. We got ourselves a ring-a-ding-ding here. Mr. Soju, I give you my applause. 75% on the button.
3.8.
You are a complete fucking robot, dude. Like I'm gonna fucking throw my goddamn computer out the window. This is fucking fucked. It's
Who is
driving me nuts.
incest?
Both of us.
Whoa, Soju, way to
Yeah.
squander all your goodwill there.
God damn. The
Damn.
fucking editing I'm gonna have to
You
fucking do
missed
on
my
this.
victory.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I thought you were just giving him shit.
No,
The
it's
audio
fuck-
fucked up.
No, he was
It's
saying
a-
both of us are robots.
Dude, I've got like 20 cuts already. Like fucking
Damn.
goddamn, dude.
Were
I don't know
Allison
what-
doing anything? Dude,
No.
we need to get that computer so we can hardwire in. You're still using Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's
Fucking-
get you one, man. Like anything with a camera and hardwiring
Yeah.
will do.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah.
We got the money. I mean, especially because like
We've
this is
got $20,000.
Tell everybody.
Sorry, what did
to-
Did you guys sell us to Mountain Dew and I didn't know it?
That was for behind the scenes. Everyone who's
Yeah.
listening, you guys.
We've got enough money for a shitty computer. That's what we've got. You know.
Behind the scenes this week is fuck. It's just me bitching and y'all talking about how rich we are. Like, no.
We're rich, bitch. You could buy a
We were talking all kind of mad shit about you when you were gone before.
Oh my god, yeah.
I
We're
hope so.
talking about your proclivity for violence
Bob.
towards your
Do
your
we
significant
need-
other and
That Bob loves licking assholes. He fucking
oh
loves
man.
it.
That's talking shit, man. That's giving props.
That's tossing
Yes.
shit.
This 2022, Bob. Get with it. Just
Bob,
embrace it.
Bob really
you
is
ain't eating ass, are
sexually
you really
open.
eating?
I have a daddy kink.
Okay, Rob, we know.
So, Bob, do we
Okay.
need to record my victory again? I got a ring and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. So I got to
That
to our
sucks.
guesses, but after our guesses, Randy, pick up and say what it is. I literally don't know
Okay.
what it is still. I couldn't hear.
Oh
So,
no.
like,
I
yeah,
oh man.
just jump in, pretend like Juice just gave his guess, and be like, "Well, it is whatever."
Man, the sausage getting made is not pretty. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, are we good? Well, we got ourselves another ring-a-ding-ding here, gentlemen. 75% on the button for Soju.
Wow, Bob! Gonna get a hell yeet.
Hellski.
Purely and simply evil.
There you
Dude,
go.
right on the money.
Did, yeah. And that's, I mean, when you start doing the math, I was like, holy shit, he's really going to get it.
For
Like,
some
yes.
reason, I just thought we were really going to be on point with
I
the
thought you were going
critics
to go
this week.
76, and I was like, oh, man.
I mean, yeah, I would have been right
There you
there,
go.
but yeah, I rounded it off. 76 isn't a funny band name, so
That's true. That's true. All right. Well,
No, it's not.
congrats to Soju. Let's go over to the user score. The users, there are over 1,000 verified ratings for the audience. Where do we think they're landing? Let's start with Juice this time.
and I think it's going to be similar. I think it's going to be pretty damn close. I think the fans would generally like this a little more than the critics, but I don't think it's going to go nuts in the butts. I might take Bob's 80. I'm going to
Ooh,
swoop into
stolen
that
80.
spot. Yeah, I think it's be a
All
scope
right.
higher.
Bob, you got swooped. Where are you going with this?
I think this is going tongues in the butts. It's super.
Oh.
It's way up there. It's above 80. I think. I think it's.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm-
Okay,
give
well,
me
give
an
me a
eight-
number.
I'm gonna $1. Give me an 81.
No,
Ooh, 81.
plain
Oh,
is
the
safe.
$1.
Let's see.
Well, it was a very, very, very solid guess. 84% is the correct number. You got $1, Bob. Or Bob, $1. Do you, I don't know, whatever. I was trying to do a
Somebody
Price is Right
won.
thing and
I
just
don't know.
fucked up. Bob, you won.
Sweet. Can I get a
Uh,
That's
There
what
you
you get, Bob.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the critics' consensus here on Rotten Tomatoes. It reads as follows: the fifth Scream finds the franchise working harder than ever to maintain its meta edge and succeeding surprisingly often. I don't think that's unfair to say. Sure.
Yeah, and I know we like touched on it, but I mean, for a fifth in a franchise, I mean, come on, how often
they're-
are
yeah.
the fifth? I mean, sometimes, but not really.
Yeah, they did a solid ass job. They did.
Honestly, and because they had touched on like a good amount of the same fodder in 4, like the fact that they pulled another one out.
Yeah,
they did a better sequel to Scream 4 than Scream 3 did for Scream 1. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Plumbing the same depths of that era. So, yeah, well done. I think overall, let's read a negative review and see if it has any funny to it. This new Scream is so determined to be a Scream movie that it forgets the primary unstated rule established by the original Scream. You can sell anything to us so long as you make it scary. So this guy didn't think it was scary, I guess, is what that's supposed to communicate. Want to try again, guy? Get an editor.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, it's as scary as any others for me. It's scarier than most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not one that gets scared by movies very easily or at all really anymore. Just disturbed is kind of what happens if it's really awesome. And none of them do that to me. So what is this?
We're just numb.
Can I also say one funny thing that we completely didn't touch on that I really want to call out is the fucking multiple behind the door misleads for what the character of Wes.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That shit made me laugh.
That was good levity. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that. I just want to call it.
That was good.
Okay, that's the end of our segment. Bob, where are you taking us?
All right. We're going into some trivia. Let's do it.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right. We have got another segment of trivia here. Since Bob collected this all again, I will not even try to turn this into a fun game, but we can guarantee that this is the most interesting trivia of this bunch.
Because it was vetted for once.
Yeah. This actually is fun. I like this bit of trivia. David Arquette, who is a certified Bob Ross painting instructor, certified.
There's a school for that.
Yeah, taught several of the cast members how to paint like the legendary artist during filming breaks. That's wonderful. I don't know why that struck me so nice, but it did.
David Arquette strikes me as like one of the like celebrities that I would most like to hang out with. I think he would be just a fun dude to be around.
I agree.
Yeah.
And he works his ass off. I was looking at his filmography. He's been in a fuck ton of movies over the past like decade that I didn't really know about. He's, just working out there working.
Horror bloggers, who are these fools? James A. Janice and Chelsea Rebecca from the YouTube channel Dead Meat cameo as film critics. Guys, we've been doing this 8 years. Why didn't they ask us to be in Scream 5 Cream? Can you imagine if the Straight Chilling crew is in 5 Cream?
This would get a 5-star if we were in it, of course.
If we all got murdered, that would be fucking great.
Dude, let's petition for us to be in 6 Cream. When Richie is watching a YouTube video about Stab 8, the thumbnail beside it features a photograph of Hayden Panettiere. Thank you. The names fuck my face. Panettiere as her Scream 4 character Kirby Reed, referring to her as a Woodsboro survivor. Panettiere, I already forgot it, receives a special thanks credit for the photo. Oh my lord.
Nice.
You got
she was listed as a survivor?
Yeah, she survived. It was actually built into her contract for Scream 4 that she would not die.
That's pretty awesome.
She doesn't. Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Trivia.
Yeah, to avoid any potential plot details from being leaked to the public, several different versions of existing scenes in the film were shot along with multiple versions of the actual script being written, as plot details being leaked by the cast and crew members has famously been a problem with the franchise. The most notable example being Scream Deuce, which had to be almost entirely rewritten with an extra leak when an extra leaked the script to the public. God damn.
Dude, honestly, that like this movie might be a movie that I need to get physical on, because the bonus features, the alternate endings, I gotta see that shit. I gotta get that when it
true.
comes out.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Nev Campbell was initially hesitant to return to the franchise, especially in a new Scream film that didn't feature Wes Craven as director. That's understandable. What changed her mind was a letter sent to her by the directors, the squad, Matt Benetelli, Olfen. Oh God.
Radio silence wrote her a letter.
Yeah, these guys.
You are Tim Heidecker trying to read names right now. It's fucking killing me.
I think I got this one. And Tyler Gillette, there we go, where they wrote about how much Wes Craven and his films meant to them as filmmakers. Maybe if we wrote some letters every now and then, we'd be featured in some famous horror movies, boys. God damn.
You need to write more letters. Letter writing campaign time. I wanted to point out also that the Radio Silence guys, these are the guys that did the best short and the original VHS as well.
True.
Which I just looked up, and that's
which one?
Awesome. I'm glad.
Which one did they do?
This is the last one. The haunted house one.
That's these guys. That's cool.
Yeah. Good for them. I'm glad that like got to do this. This is exactly what I wanted for them after seeing that.
Bettinelli. I'm oof.
Okay, let's get the trivia.
Open, I think. Yeah.
Okay,
But continue.
Thank you. In Scream 1996, Dewey tells Sydney, "I see you as a young Meg Ryan myself." That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid, son of I thought this was going somewhere else. It's not. Jack Quaid, son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid, stars in the movie. I thought.
Is he?
One thing I did like where they were like Bob had said, I think Bob said, where they were talking about the trivia of the stab movies. And I was like, oh, did they say that Meg Ryan played this role? I thought that's where they were going with it. But I liked how they assigned roles to the stab characters.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was pretty funny.
You see the entire like she pulls up the IMDb.
Yeah. That's where I thought they were going with this, but that's
honestly the Jack Quaid's character or whatever. It's Jack Quaid, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought he did a pretty damn good job too. So good for him.
Same. Yeah.
Which one was he?
Richie.
He was the killer, Richie.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he certainly was the standout killer at least, but even throughout the movie, he got a lot of like good goof lines. If anybody was the stew of this movie, I guess he has their most rightful claim to that, because he made some silly, funny jokes. I don't think he really got Lillard on it though.
We did mention how that one girl she got a little slobbery, I think, in tribute to Lillard.
Yeah, did she? I didn't notice.
Amber,
little drool action.
She did. Yeah, I appreciated that. Also, we didn't really talk about her face like catching fire and then her coming back. That was pretty fun too.
It was great. What's to say?
Yeah. The eighth movie is referred to as the one done by the Knives Out guy and changed up the typical stab formula to include many new and unwelcome changes. A very obvious nod to Johnson's controversial Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yeah. Mindy name drops various franchises that have been requels in the past, such as Jurassic Park, Terminator. I've never seen any of those Terminator movies. I assume they're dog shit. Halloween, Ghostbusters, and Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That whole thing with where she's like rattling off names or whatever. I think they do an okay job with that. But like, I don't know. Like, what's the I lost the thread. I don't know what I was saying. Fuck me.
Sweet.
I had a thought and then it just fucking left my brain completely. This is great audio.
I'm gonna let Randy guess. Randy, what do you think the body count in this film is?
Oh God.
Bob, do you remember this?
I think so. Yeah,
I'll let Randy guess first, and you can take a stab at it.
Ooh, I think it is 5.
Pretty close. Body count 8.
Really?
Vince Schneider, Judy Hicks,
I
Wes
forgot about
Hicks,
the cop.
Unnamed Deputy, Dewey Riley, Liv McKenzie, Richie Kirsch, and Amber Freeman.
Yeah, I forgot about purple hair also.
Yeah, she was really forgettable.
Easy
as
to
a
do.
character.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
She's
I mean,
almost non-existent.
I kind of get it because like this movie has to do all the work of the first movie in terms of setting up characters in the friend group, etc., while also paying beautiful homage to
Yeah.
our favorites. Like it's
True.
a tough job.
True.
Mhm.
The new ensemble cast of characters' connections to legacy characters are as follows. Sam Carpenter is the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis. How could they not bring back Lillard? Come on, they needed to do something. Wes is the son of 2011 Ghostface survivor Judy Hicks. Chad and Mindy are the nephew and niece of the late Randy Meeks. Randu. Vince Schneider is the nephew of Stu, and Amber Freeman lives in his old house. The only Woodsboro High School teenage character in the film not to have a connection to the on-screen legacy character is Liv McKenzie, though her surname seems to be a reference to Casey Becker's Unseen Neighbors in the original film. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
When her parents get home, they're like, "Run down to the
The
Mackenzies,"
Mackenzies. Oh
Mackenzies,
my
yeah.
god.
which is a reference
is-
to Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween, yeah.
Which, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
By the
Okay.
way, and like Sam being her name and all that shit, like
Instead
Yeah.
of Sid.
Well, no, because
Loomis.
Loomis's
Oh,
daughter.
Sam. Oh,
Sam.
I see.
Sam is her name.
I
Sam
see.
Carpenter is her name.
Yeah, Carpenter. Yeah, I did pick
Sam
up on the
Carpenter
cat.
Loomis.
But I
Yeah.
did like,
Yeah.
because it's supposed to be, replacing, except 4 did it better because it was her cousin or niece or whatever. But this, they call her Sam, her name's Samantha. And then when Sid comes in, her name is Sydney. They call her Sid. I just thought that was like a clever little thing
I
they
didn't
did.
think of that. But
Yeah.
I remembered what I was going to say earlier now. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Sure.
Last Jedi's not that bad, people. Calm down. That's a movie that I think benefits from
Whoa.
taking a big swing, whereas The Force Awakens just was fucking the same goddamn thing.
All
Well,
those movies are like
both-
fine at
the
best.
last
really.
part
No,
like
yeah,
you
I'm not
said
saying it's a great
Yeah.
movie. I'm saying
Yeah.
that I was glad that they took a swing
Yeah.
on something.
That's basically what I was kind of hoping this movie would have done,
Right.
but did not.
to tie
Yeah.
it back in. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what this
yeah.
movie chose not to do. And it came
Yeah.
dangerously close to Force Awakening it a little bit.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
closer
I-
than the alternative.
It's very similar to that, but I'd rather watch this than Force Awakens. Really.
Oh
any-
yeah, definitely.
any
It's a
day.
better movie
But
for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I appreciate that Ryan Johnson didn't just like
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't just take
Copy,
the beats and
paste.
replace them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel you. I feel you on that. I also like the like
He dared to
Me-
character
me-
develop and shit.
the metal ghost face mask was like kind of like a random nod to the what is the character, Captain Phasma or whatever.
Yeah,
Phasma?
yeah.
From the Star Wars
Yeah, where it's
prequel
platinum
trilogy
or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah
What is
yeah,
is
the
that from
character-
Rogue One or is that from one of the
No,
the
it's from
three
A Force
trilogies?
No.
Awakens, and
Yeah.
then
Okay.
and then Last Jedi as well.
Captain
I haven't
Phasma,
seen
yeah.
what's the last one? What is the most it's,
Return,
the-
the Revenge of the Sith,
Revenge of the Sith?
Skywalker
No.
fucks
Rise of
again.
Skywalker. Yeah.
Rise of yeah. See, like, and that's the one that
We
to me is
don't
like more egregious.
I don't know. I don't know.
I haven't seen it, but I've come to understand that movie pulls from the same bag of tricks that they always do. So all the
Dude,
more
that
reason
movie,
to
God, that
appreciate a big
trilogy
swing.
is boo boo.
It is.
It's tough.
It's a tough job,
watch.
and they did not rise to the challenge. But
Man,
I
out
forgot.
for my money out of
actually-
the two I've seen. I like this. I like Ryan Johnson's take.
I
better.
know the Last Jedi like sticks out as like I forgot how bad the Rise of Skywalker or whatever was until we just started talking about it.
I still.
I
haven't
kind
seen
of
it, but I
blanked that out
know
from my
what
mind.
happens.
Oh, that
Oh my
Yeah.
god! It's like, oh no, we went too far in the wrong direction. We gotta do exactly the same thing, or we will die on the fucking altar.
we gotta whip it back. God, that movie blows.
Yeah, they just keep ping ponging between the most obvious thing possible and the craziest idea possible.
You know what was dope though? Rogue One.
You know, it was dope
I like Rogue One.
when we were talking about Scream.
No,
That
we've
was-
moved on to Star Wars
Look,
now, but this
Scream,
is now the
Scream
Star Wars.
2022, the movie about prequels and sequels. Yeah, I guess that is
Yeah.
sort of a jumping off point, ain't it?
Let's jump into our cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Juice, what's a cooter? Why do we hunt them?
Cooter is a character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Could you imagine if we were in Scream 5 talking about cooters? Jesus Christ. That could have been us.
Should have been us.
Ash.
Yeah.
Maybe in
Randy-
the inevitably inferior Scream 6.
Randy, you should have been on the couch screaming at Randy to turn around. It was
Randy,
your role.
turn
It
around.
belonged
Backwards
to you.
though.
Well,
I should have been
yeah.
doing it completely backwards.
Mhm. Like the backwards man.
The backwards man, the backwards man. I can walk backwards fast as you can. I can walk backwards fast as you can.
Bump is so long. All right, Cooter
Jeez.
must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter. We want a Cooter with most points. The 5 points are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, what's 5 Cream got to offer as far as Cooters go?
You know, I started when we first started the segment and the bump was playing. I was like, I don't know, is in Scream 5, is there any? And then a very, very obvious candidate jumped out at me.
Who?
Bob, do you know who I'm talking about?
Richie, I think.
Richie, the boyfriend?
Yeah.
The
That's
boyfriend
The
that's
boyfriend
not what I was
slash
gonna say.
killer.
Talking about Billy Loomis?
No, although great
I
choice.
mean, because he
I didn't
is
even
the
think about
Cooter.
that.
He's the
He
Cooter
is.
from 1, and he's in
He is
this
an
movie.
ultimate. Yeah, he is. But he in this
Ghost
movie plays more of an
Loomis?
Obi-Wan role. No, I was gonna point out
Obi-Wan?
the fucking guy who's stalking Sam's sister or whoever. The guy who
the guy who
gets
had
killed
to
by the
hook up-
car.
Hook up with Liv.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
The guy with the red right hand. You know
Yeah,
that.
Right.
I mean, let's cover why. Smug arrogance, certainly. You
True.
are stalking somebody
Yeah.
brazenly in front of a very large man that will absolutely beat the fuck out of you. Sexual deviancy. I mean, these are high schoolers, so easy one on that.
That guy, he
Uh,
was like older than high school, though. I mean, he
Was
was
he?
Oh yeah,
outside.
he was.
Yeah, that's why
He
if
was.
we were gonna give sexual deviance for anything, it's like he was like the 20-something-year-old showing up in high school to,
Yeah.
you know, like
He was McConaugheying it a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. so I could,
All
yeah,
right,
because of the
all right,
implication,
all right.
I would.
Not all right.
It's not.
It's not. It's not. Okay, so that's 2. That's 2 out of 5.
I think,
Um,
I think that's fair enough.
I think manipulation. I mean, he doesn't outwardly lie to anybody, but he is hardcore aggressing on people, like showing up, staring.
Yeah,
making
he's
kissy
like
face, all that shit.
physically manipulative because he's threatening people with like a knife and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that might be a harder sell, but I think that it works for me because this is somebody who's like gaslighting the fuck out of these people too, and being like, "Come on, she's still going with me," or he says something to the effect of like, "I was talking to the lady, she's coming with me now," or some shit like that. It's like,
Well,
no.
that point is light. We might still give it to him. I will definitely say the motherfucker's pathetic. Like if he is actually like
Yeah.
mid-20s, like cruising high schools,
Mhm.
like sup girl, let's fuck on your summer break. Like that is pathetic, man.
That's the easy sexual deviance patheticness 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think he lands as a cooter. But to Joe Juice's point, let's talk about old Skeet.
I mean, Skeet
Oh,
is the
Skeet,
ultimate.
Do you have a
Skeet-
case
Skeet-
for it?
I mean, Skeet is the ultimate cooter in Scream 1. It's documented. Okay, so
Documented.
he's in the
In the
book a
books.
cooter.
He was booked. He's
And
out on parole.
And the character appears in this movie.
Is he though?
That's not enough. That's not
He he appears in the character garb. I don't know if it is either because also like you could argue that this is not the character. This
Yeah,
is
this
the
is her
fantasy of the
mind,
character.
yeah.
Sam imagines.
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, because
Let's
he's a
talk-
dead man.
Let's talk
He's a
about
Fuscus.
let's talk about Richie. I think Richie is
All right.
definitely up there. So
Richie
definitely-
April.
Dude, Richie
Yeah.
feels 100% much. Like, there's no debate about that. Sopranos discussion. But Richie in this movie, This motherfucker's got sexual deviance for sure. In the last scene, he's talking about how like it was how easy it was to manipulate Sam and also fuck her.
Yeah.
Like he's it was real easy to fuck you. Like this dude's a piece of shit. Sexual deviance, manipulation. He's manipulating her.
Well, yeah,
he's
the whole
he's
game is
manipulating
manipulation.
literally everybody.
Yeah.
Except for Amber, who knows the real deal. But everybody else, he's manipulating. Smug arrogance. Yeah, I would definitely throw in smug arrogance. Like all the like cutesy jokes that he does say throughout the movie is like a complete facade. That's not actually who he is whatsoever.
True.
So like when he does reveal himself in the end, he's like very, very like proud as he like slams a knife into Sam and he's like, you're not dead. Because
I would even
wanted to kill you.
The whole like you are so easy to fuck thing that gives me some smug arrogance. Like
true.
Because of the implication.
Yeah,
he's very Dennis Reynoldsy in my mind, so I totally agree. I want to point out though that probably towering above the other points for me in his case is patheticness. This dude is fucking pathetic for so many reasons, but not the least of which is the diatribe bullshit about fandoms at the end. It's like your reason for engineering a murder spree is because of fucking because you fucking don't like being called a toxic fan. Like, do you understand the irony in that? You fuck. Like,
I mean, who even goes on Reddit anymore?
Dude, I don't know. But like
I don't.
Like who? Like,
really
like people who get radicalized by fucking message boards can suck my asshole. Fuck you.
Damn.
Fucking pathetic.
Join our Slack now so we can manipulate you.
So we can radicalize you today.
We can make you do what we want. I did
like put us in Scream 6.
They like name drop the Dreadit sub channel, and I was like, man, I've been on there very, very briefly. Like, fuck that shit.
It's a very And
well,
that's
come on, that's good.
There's
lots of fans on there who listen to us.
Rob, pander quick.
I'm sure people do get something out of it, and if you
They're
do, I'm
great.
happy. I am happy for you, and I hope you enjoy that.
And now for this
we
week's
expect
sponsor,
a fully tearful apology.
Join the
Dreadit
subreddit to learn more about.
I've learned a whole lot this week.
I don't know. I don't even know how to Reddit, to be fucking honest. It's
old man Bob.
Honestly, like everybody's got their outlet. We got our Slack, and that's enough for me. I don't have time for much else. So
yeah,
and
who has the time?
Fortunately, very little toxicity on that particular.
Because
so
we'll bounce.
Join us.
We will bounce a motherfucker.
We're the first people to say we're stupid assholes, and pretty much everybody there is self-effacing in that way as well.
I don't think we've ever had to kick anybody out.
We haven't. Now everybody's so like kind and caring. And
there's a couple people on the line.
That Beanman wants to keep using gifts. I don't know.
He keeps using those GIFs. That son of a bitch.
Those GIFs that take forever to load, and they blow up my fucking like AT&T bill. Like I can't.
I think it's a picture,
GIFs.
but it's moving.
I think it's time for us to start a murder spree about this. What do you guys think?
Coming for you.
I am killing you because GIFs annoy me.
I give AT&T $60 a month. I can't.
Don't have time for
bullshit.
For your Giffies? Michael Scott GIF I've seen a million times.
Michael Scott.
Be original with your GIFs.
Anyway.
There's a reason to murder.
I am going to drop a deuce on everybody.
I think the Cooter of the Week is Richie. I'm pretty sure.
You made a very compelling argument. Cooter of the Week. Cooter of the Week. Let's book him.
We're getting too far.
We think we have a lot more evidence for him, direct evidence, than we do for even the stalker kid. So
I agree. I think we have booked Richie. Let's skip what we've been watching this week. We got one more segment. We're jumping into our hotline screams. Let's do it.
Hotline scream.
If you are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got one voicemail this week. It's from our favorite girl boss. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, this is for Randy and Randy only. So the rest of y'all can't read these books because I said so. So Randy, here are some books. The Truth by Nick Cutter got me back into reading. Big content warning for animal abuse and body horror. No spoiler, but don't eat spaghetti while you read this. Do with that info as you will. Also by Nick Cutter, Little Heaven. It's basically like 3 bounty hunters go to investigate this cult, and there's freaky shit in the woods surrounding the cult, and shenanigans ensue when people try to leave. For Stephen King, my favorite is Night Shift, which is a collection of short stories. It's most famous for Children of the Corn and The Graveyard Shift. I've also read The Stand by him, which is his longest book next to it, and it's good, but I remember seeing the 50% completed mark, and I was like, nice! And then next to it said 700 pages left, and I just threw my Kindle. Fucked up book. Tender is the Flesh. It's basically animal meat becomes toxic, and no one wants to go vegan. So society starts breeding humans for food. It's fucking dehumanizing. Like, it's gross. Content warning for everything, but Jesus Christ, is it dehumanizing. And right now I'm reading this book called The Ruins by Scott Smith. It's a sleeper because I never hear people talk about this book, but it's 40 different ways of fucked up. It's fucking gross, and there's no chapters, so it's like just this never-ending train of like, when's this ending? I'd like to get off, please. I personally sometimes like horror books in the sense of like what's gonna scare me. I sometimes like books more because like in a movie I'm seeing what the fuck is up, but on like the fucking in a book, it's like I can imagine whatever the fuck I want. Yeah. So, yeah. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you so much. That was great. I'm gonna put those books down on my list here, and I've got it's stacking up quite a number. And at this rate, I mean, it's gonna be a while, but I'm putting them on the list anyway. I'm interested to see what I totally think it's true that, like, you know, being able to imagine your own version of what's happening is a much easier path to actually getting effective terror. So like, I think that that's totally true. But like, sometimes my imagination's fucked up. When I was a kid and I first read like Harry Potter, fucking the character of Hagrid, for some reason my brain just implanted the image of Goku's dad. They're not the real one, but the one with the horns on his head, the really big guy. I don't remember his name, but it's a fucking Dragon Ball Z reference that I don't even know anymore. And still to this day, that is what I envision when I think of Hagrid first, even more than the movies and shit. Yeah, it's fucking weird. Like, and so weird. I like my brain will implant weird, disparate things. Like I'm reading my best friend's Exorcism now, and the lead character keeps alternating between Faruja Balk in The Craft and fucking what's her name from Back to the Future 2 and 3. I'm completely blanking on her name, but
the girl
Jennifer. I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. I can't remember her name. But yeah, so like my brain's fucked up in that way. But when it comes to the actual horror stuff, I'm in total agreement, because you get to imagine it as horrifying as described, not as horrifying as presented.
That's awesome. Yeah, what we were talking about last week for our prompt was just like what people's like New Year's resolutions were, and we were talking about like reading more, and Andy asked specifically for like book recommendation stuff because your New Year's resolution was to read more. So yeah, thanks for calling in. Thanks for sharing some fucked up stuff for Andy to read.
How about,
you guys can't read it?
How about, especially after way this like pandemic shit has been going, how plausible does that vegan story sound now?
Yeah, I'm not eating broccoli. I'm eating your liver.
Dude, people would justify it.
Yeah.
This is not the first sci-fi about eating people, and I feel like it's always just around the corner. It's always we're like so a couple of crises away from that at all times.
I feel like we would be. I think it's been mentioned in like a couple movies before that we would be like very similar to pork meat. So I feel like that could easily
I've heard that as well.
Pushed out of people's minds.
Oh, I've only heard that. I've never confirmed. I promise. Yeah.
Damn, these people are confusing.
Thanks for calling in, girl boss. Always good to hear from you.
Is that what you're dubbing her, or
she dubbed us girl bosses, and I'm just sort of like,
that's right. Okay,
returning the
right.
favor. We're sort of a
fellow girl boss. Okay,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's right.
I think we got
It's an honorary title.
It's an honor. I think we do have a prompt for next week. Something we were talking about before we recorded the show was like how we would want to rank all the Scream movies in the franchise. So we want to pose that question to you guys listening. Call in, let us know, how would you rank the 5 Scream movies? Worst to best or best to worst, however you want to do it. Let us know how you'd rank them. We're curious.
Yeah. And maybe you'll hear our opinions on the matter.
Maybe if you're good.
Maybe. More to come on that. Hit us up at 904-638-3231. Rank the 5 Cream movies. We want to know. Cream number 1 is my favorite.
Ooh, I'll bet it is, Bob.
The first
Nobody
Cream
likes
is always the best Cream. Anyways, that's gonna do it for us.
Just watch the behind the scenes on that, because literally nobody else is laughing. Bobby's just getting himself. I love there's an extra little push there from yourself.
Rob and my friendship is predicated on the fact that I can make the worst jizz jokes possible that will make him laugh.
And I will just laugh.
Bob really was just riding
it's a guarantee.
his own train there.
I love riding my own train. Shit. Wow. That's going to do it for us this week here at Straight Chilling. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes and also on Spotify. It's a great way to support the show. It only takes a moment of your time. We really do appreciate it. You can find us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. On Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show. Just like always, we are talking about another Patreon pick. This was chosen by Simon H., and the movie is 2008's Eden Lake. Slam your eyeballs into Eden Lake. Get ready for next week's show. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.